This play, within a play, takes place in a valley of the Caucasus Mountains of Russia. The play within is a parable telling of episodes of war, violence, rebellion, and dramatic rescue. But it is also a tale of motherly love, sacrifice, and ultimate justice and redemption, served up by a strangely corrupt judge who makes the right judgment in the end. Before the parable begins, there is a prologue scene. The Nazis have just been defeated on the Russian front. In a fertile valley in the Caucasus Mountains, a dairy farm lay in ruins after the war. These farmers produced a gourmet cheese, treasured far and wide. During the war, these farmers were ordered by the government to move elsewhere with their goats. But now that the war is over, they want to return to this valley to renew their dairy farming. In their absence, a group of fruit growers have taken over the valley. They've developed plans for an extensive, sophisticated irrigation project that will make better use of the land. There is a meeting of the competing sides in the dispute. Each present their arguments to a visiting government official who will arbitrate. The cheesemakers say their gourmet cheese requires the valley's pasture lands. The fruit farmers, however, with their irrigation proposal, present the winning argument that their agricultural production will serve the greater social good. The cheesemakers finally relent in utopian concordance, and in celebration of the harmonious outcome, an attendee brings in a famous storyteller, who is referred to as the singer. Accompanied by musicians who will play from time to time, the singer will entertain everyone with the parable of Grusha, the kitchen maid, and the chalk circle. And so the singer begins the tale. Part 1, The Noble Child.
Easter Sunday in Nuka, the largest city in the Grusha province. The province is ruled by a Grand Duke, and the city by Governor Georgy Abashvili. The governor is exceedingly wealthy. He has a beautiful wife, Natella. They have a healthy baby, Michael. The governor has many horses in his stables, many soldiers at his service, and many beggars at his doorstep. Natella and their infant son are returning from church, shooing away poor starving peasants, supplicants who have impeded their passage. Her ladyship complains about the inconvenience. They are preparing to feast upon a fat goose, for which their kitchen maid, Grusha Yatshadze, has been dispatched to a poultry farm. On her errand, Grusha encounters a soldier, Simon Shashava, who flirts with her and they tease each other. But a mutual attraction is formed between them. Suddenly, there is a sound of disturbances in the city. Shouts, screams, gunshots, rising flame and smoke. There has been a coup d'etat against the Grand Duke, led by the rebel Arsene Kazbeki, known as the Fat Prince. Leading a contingent of iron shirts, the Fat Prince captured the governor as he left the church and led him off for execution. Now, they will be after the rest of his family. fist, trusting in the power which has lasted so long. But long is not forever. Oh, change from age to age, thou hope of the people. When the house of the great one collapses, those who had no share in the good fortunes of the mighty often have a share in their misfortunes. Panic ensues in the household as the iron shirts approach. Servants scurry about, carriages are summoned, and the teller is urged to pack in a hurry for a hasty flight. But she simply can't decide which dress to leave behind. She hands Michael off to a servant who, in her own rush to escape, puts the child down. The governess packs and unpacks her trunks. Iron shirts are closing. Compelled at last by the palace guards, she finally escapes on horseback, empty-handed. Only, in her haste, she has forgotten about Michael and has left her son behind on the floor. The servants are calling for Grusha to make haste to join their escape. Grusha prepares to leave, but is delayed by Simon, the soldier. He tells her he is off to fight in the war defending the Grand Duke, but asks for her hand in marriage after he returns. She accepts, and he departs to protect the exiled Nutella and fight to restore the Grand Duke to power. Finally, Grusha is able to gather her bundle and starts to leave, but is drawn back to the parlor. She hears the voice of Michael, the baby, speaking to her mind as if he were an adult.
Woman, help me! No, woman! He who hears not a cry for help, but passes by with troubled ears, will never hear the gentle call of a lover, or the happy sigh of the tired farmer as the evening bell rings.
So Grusha sits with Michael, hopefully for just a little while, in case someone, anyone, comes to take over. She sat with the child through evening, through the night, until dawn, and by morning's light, the seduction was complete. She rose, took up the child, and crept away like a thief.
Part 2, Flight to the Northern Mountains.
The Iron Shirts have learned that a servant has escaped with Michael. They are intent on killing the child and are in pursuit. How will the pair escape the bloodhounds, the trappers? Grusha journeys in the country. She hopes to find someone with whom she can leave the child. As she travels on foot, she entertains Michael with a marching song. The song of the four generals.
Four generals set out for the war. Four generals set out for the war.
Grusha comes upon a peasant homestead and leaves Michael on the doorstep. The couple who lives there is childless. They take Michael in, finally relieved that the infant will be cared for under a new identity. Grusha decides to return to the city to await her fiancé. But unfortunately, she encounters the pursuing iron shirts. Her nervous demeanor raises suspicions among the mercenaries. A nasty corporal makes abusive advances on her. She fights him off and manages to escape, but has to run back to the homestead where she left Michael. She implores the couple to hide the baby because the iron shirts are coming to kill him. But it's too late. The corporal arrives and goes for Michael. Grusha, grabbing a log from the fireplace, knocks the corporal unconscious. She snatches up the child and flees. She will seek out her brother Lavrenti, a farmer in the northern mountains. But to get there, she will need to cross the Jangatau Glacier, where there is a great gorge traversed by a rotting bridge too dangerous to use. But because of the extreme danger she faces from the iron shirts, she will risk 2 lives and attempt it. Grusha steps on the rotted bridge and goes forward hesitatingly. Run, Grusha! Don't look down! Shirts do not cross the bridge in pursuit. Having arrived in the northern mountains, Grusha sets out for her brother Lavrenti's farm. Now exhausted, but full of love for her newly adopted son, Grusha beds him down with a lullaby, the song of the child.
Your father was a bandit, a harlot, the mother who bore you. Yet all the road shall be darling.
Grusha arrives with Michael at Lavrenti's farm, exhausted, starving, ill, and near death. Her brother immediately puts her to bed. But Lavrenti's wife, Anika, who is a devotedly religious woman, on seeing the baby tells her husband that Grusha cannot remain because she seems to be an unwed mother. Lavrenti begins working on a plan. Grusha slowly recovers. As she sits at a spinning wheel, thoughts of Simon and the war envelop her. A song forms in her thoughts, in which she imagines herself giving her beloved Simon advice for his safety in the war. She sings the song of the center. Lavrenti proposes a solution to Grusha's dilemma. Across the mountain is a family whose unwed son, Jessup, had come down with a fatal illness and lays comatose in his bedroom. Death could come at any moment. For dowry money, that family would probably agree to have Jessup wed Grusha. He won't be living long anyway. Grusha agrees to this, remembering her vow to Simon. She would be free soon enough, and her new son would be legitimized. They travel there. All is agreed to, and a monk is summoned to officiate. Accepting a cash payment, the monk pronounces the union, despite a comatose groom. He has brought a band of musicians, whom Lavrenti must also pay, who start playing celebratory music that is interrupted when a drunken partygoer sings a very distasteful limerick. jumped out of bed because he's dead.
That's terrible.
Well, that young woman wasn't the only one to jump out of the bed that evening. At the height of the festivities, news arrives the war is over. The Grand Duke and his entourage have been restored to power. And the fat prince and his lackeys have been done away with. Wonderful, wonderful news for Grusha. Simon will soon be returning from the war. Unfortunately, upon hearing this news, Jessup, Grusha's new, fatally ill husband, suddenly rises from his bed, fit as a fiddle. Strange that illness started when the war broke out. Never felt better, he says. Where is my wife? Grusha is crushed. For several years, she will have to endure a loveless marriage. And she must give up all hope of marrying her Simon. Time passes and a new event will bring change for Grusha. Since the Grand Duke has been restored to power, the governess, Natella, has returned from exile. She wants her child back, and she has petitioned Judge Azdak to have the child and Grusha found and brought to court. You will learn more about the judge presently. Natella wishes to obtain a judgment that will secure her custody of Michael, while punishing Grusha for kidnapping. It's not completely out of motherly love that she wants Michael back. You see, upon the death of her husband, the estates became entitled to Michael, not to her. The Iron Shirts, now working for the judge, are sent by Azdak to find Grusha and the child. They have finally succeeded in locating Lavrenti's farm. While Grusha was away on errand, they abduct the child and take him back to the city. Grusha, discovering Michael is gone, is now in desperate pursuit of the kidnappers. She returns to the city, appears in Judge Azdak's courtroom.
Part 4, Judge Azdak and the courtroom.
Now, here's more about Judge Azdak. He was not a lawyer. He was a simple town clerk who happened to be present when the judge, who was installed by the Fat Prince, was hanged after the Grand Duke's return to power. The Iron Shirts, now in the Duke's employ, simply handed Azdak the robe. He was of diminutive build, and the only use he had for law books was to elevate him in the judge's chair. Azdak was a mysterious character. He was fond of drink. As a clerk, he was known to take bribes and continued to do so as judge. Yet, he had a reputation for concocting unusual judgments that ruled against the wealthy and the powerful to the benefit of the downtrodden, as told in the Song of the Judge. When the towns were set afire and rivers of blood rose higher and higher, cockroaches crawled out from every crack. And the court was full of schemers, and the church of foul blasphemers. In the judge's cassock sat as dark. For 2 years it was his pleasure to give the beast a prey short measure. He became a wolf to fight the pack. From all hallows to all hallows, on his chair beside the gallows, dispensing justice in his fashion, sad as death. Will now hear two cases. The case of an elderly couple married 30 years seeking a divorce, and the case of Natala versus Grusha over custody of Michael. He hears the Grusha case first. Simon, Grusha's former fiance, is in attendance, having returned from the war. Natala presents the biological motherly argument, while Grusha argues for her right in caring for raising Michael, despite the hardships she endured. And after all, Natala simply abandoned him when she fled. Azdak then asked Grusha a disturbingly pertinent question. Why, if you love Michael so dearly, would you not give him over to a wealthy family who would afford the child a life of luxury, free from want, whereas you would only offer him a life of impoverishment and struggle? Grusha does not answer directly, but the answer forms as a song in her thoughts, the song of the golden shoes, the heart and soul of our little drama.
Evil would his life
proposes a test. A chalk circle is drawn on the floor. The child is placed in the center of it, and the two women are to take places on opposite sides of the perimeter. Each are to take one of Michael's arms and in a tug of war attempt to pull the child out of the circle on their side. The winner will get custody. The test begins and Grusha immediately releases. The judge wants them to have another go at it, and again, Grusha immediately releases. Why are you letting go so early, Grusha? Asked Azdak.
Should I, who struggled so to protect and raise this child, now tear him apart?
Done, says the judge. And he rules that Grusha is the true mother and shall have custody. And as for Nutella, she is to be stripped of all her titles. Her estates are confiscated and given to the state. The city needs a new playground, he says. It shall be named the Azdak Playground. Thinking justice is served, Azdak asks for wine, but an adjutant reminds him of the pending divorce case. Oh, yes, says the judge, who scribbles something on paper and hands it to the adjutant. There's been a mistake, says the adjutant, reading the paper. You've given a divorce to Grusha and her husband, Jessup. Oh, so I have, says Azdak. Well, once I make a decision, it's never reversed. So now let's all join those musicians in the plaza and have a dance. And bring the wine, for heaven's sakes. Grusha and Simon embrace. Do you like Michael? She asks him. Very much, he says. All join hands for a great circle dance. As the story characters dance, the dairy farmers and the fruit growers who have listened to the tale mysteriously are able to join in the circle. Meanwhile, Azdak will slowly vanish into the background and will never be seen or heard from again. Children to the motherly, that they prosper.